My mom is obsessed with short dramas, firmly believing that a domineering CEO would fall in love with her, a 48-year-old divorced, menopausal housekeeper. In my past life, when the CEO was drugged and she was about to cure him, I desperately tried to stop her, even kneeling and kowtowing to make her abandon this insane idea. But who would have thought a 50-year-old woman would detox the CEO? And he ended up marrying her. Furious, my mom sold me off to northern Myanmar, no matter how much I begged. She refused to call the police to save me. If it weren't for your interference, the young master would have married me. You robbed me of true love and a happy old age. How could I possibly let you off easy? Time and again I fled through northern Myanmar, clinging to life in utter despair, until finally they carved out my organs and buried me alive. When my eyes opened again, I'd been reborn on the very day the CEO was drugged. With a smile, I said, "Go for it, Mom. Chase your true love and happy golden years. Your daughter won't stand in your way." Heidi, I just saw young master return to his room. It seems he's been drugged and is suffering in hiding. I must prepare the antidote before whoever poisoned him gets to him. The young master will surely fall for me, and I'll become the lady of this household. Hearing my mother's excited voice, all the pain and suffocation in my body vanished. My blurred vision focused, locking onto my mother's greasy, shining face. This isn't northern Myanmar, not that man-eat-man place. My organs are still intact. I've returned to the day when CEO Charles Gray was drugged and my mother wanted to prepare the antidote. In my past life, I knew too well how treacherous wealthy families could be, far beyond what ordinary people like us could aspire to. I knelt to stop my mother, begging her not to go, yet unexpectedly, the CEO spent one night with a 50-year-old woman and ended up marrying her. My mother sold me off to northern Myanmar in a fit of rage, where I endured endless torment, wasted 10 years, and died a miserable death. When I saw my mother again, besides hatred, I felt nothing but craving for money and power. My ordeal in northern Myanmar taught me that in this world, neither familial love nor romantic love can be relied upon. The only one you can truly count on is yourself. In this life, I'll give her exactly what she deserves. She went chasing her dream of marrying into wealth. Whatever consequences come, she'll bear them herself. I'm going to step over her to get everything I want. My mother looked at me suspiciously. What's with that look? You're not thinking of stopping me, are you? I smiled and said, "Go for it, Mom. Chase your true love and happy golden years. Your daughter would never stand in your way." Touched, my mother replied, "That's my good girl." I watched her enter Charles Gray's room, then timed it perfectly before rushing downstairs to the banquet to sob to Mrs. Gray, "Madam, my mother has disappeared. I'm so worried about her." My wailing startled the surrounding guests. Mrs. Gray glared at me and muttered to the butler, "Keeping elderly nannies is nothing but trouble. How unlucky if she dies in the house. Go help her look." Pretending not to see the butler beckoning me, I continued asking guests, "Has anyone seen my mother?" A maid in her 40s, slightly shorter than me. The guests all claimed they hadn't seen her. Some took pity on me and joined the butler and me in searching. After searching everywhere to no avail, everyone finally gathered outside Charles Gray's door. Upon hearing the unmistakably intimate sounds from within, their expressions grew subtly complex. The butler went back to inform Mrs. Gray. Mrs. Gray glared at me. "Someone might have entered the wrong room. It's not necessarily Charles and your mother. How could my son be with a maid?" "That's utterly ridiculous," I said pitifully, "but we've looked everywhere. Could my mother have gone out?" "Gray, madam, who knows? You go out and look too. She just wanted to get rid of me quickly." I obeyed her, ran out the door, and called the police. The guests lingered, unwilling to leave as they waited for what would happen next. Well, now they got their wish. The police arrived. They didn't need to search the rooms. They just checked the home surveillance. With all the guests pretending to care about me as they followed along, when everyone saw Charles Gray staggering into the room, and my mother carrying hangover soup to knock on his door, only to be roughly dragged inside, their expressions turned absolutely priceless. Gray madam looked as if she'd swallowed a fly and couldn't spit it out, glaring at me fiercely, biting back laughter and pinching my thigh. I choked out between sobs, "My mother, madam, you must stand up for my mother." Gray Mrs. Gray clenched her fists. Had there not been so many people and police officers present, her slap would have landed long ago. My mother dreamed of becoming the wife of a CEO and stubbornly refused to leave the Gray residence. Every time layoffs came around and she was cut, she would kneel before Gray Mrs. Gray, pleading that she was divorced with a daughter and had nowhere to go, begging the Gray family to take us in. Gray Mrs. Gray truly believed we had nowhere else to go. So she ordered my mother and me around, frequently beating and scolding us while assigning us the hardest and dirtiest chores. I couldn't bear this life. Several times I begged my mother to quit and leave, even if it meant living in a shack while I worked part-time and studied. Anything would be better than enduring daily humiliation, my mother said. What do you know? The more suffering a woman has endured, the more likely she is to win the CEO's pity and affection, just like Cinderella and the prince. This is my first step toward true love. Endure it, and happiness will follow. Easy for her to say. Just don't make me do the dirty work or use me as a human shield when the beatings come. In the previous life, the woman who detoxified Charles Gray was Mrs. Gray's close friend Susan, a wealthy widow of many years. Mrs. Gray had no choice but to acknowledge her, but Mrs. Gray could crush me and my mother like ants, so I had to stir up trouble. Only then could I ensure my mother would get her so-called true love. Just spreading rumors among these guests wasn't enough. I secretly recorded the surveillance footage while they weren't looking and anonymously sent it to entertainment reporters. Overnight, the scandal, #Gray Group President's Drunken Folly Sleeping with Maid #, trended on social media, with everyone waiting to see the Gray family's drama unfold. Mr. Gray and Mrs. Gray were already distressed enough, but my mother woke up early, covered in hickeys, kneeling to beg Mr. Gray and Mrs. Gray for their blessing. Charles Gray, having tasted forbidden fruit, also declared he would take responsibility for my mother. Gray Mr. and Mrs. Gray gritted their teeth in frustration, but under overwhelming public pressure, they had no choice but to consent to the marriage. Gray Mrs. insisted on keeping things simple, just getting legally married without holding a wedding ceremony. Charles Gray only wanted to stay with my mother. As for the wedding, he couldn't have cared less. Though my mother was reluctant at heart, she still said, "As long as I can be with Charles, nothing else matters. Mom, I promise I'll take good care of you and Dad in the future." Gray covered his face in embarrassment. "Don't call me Dad." Gray's wife scowled. "I'm barely 2 years older than you. I can't handle being called Mom either. Just keep calling me Madam." "My mom." "Got it, Mom." Gray's wife was speechless. My mother held me with one hand and Charles Gray with the other. "Heidi, Charles will be your father from now on, and those are your grandparents. Go on, greet them." Gray's family stared at me gloomily. Good news, the family's sole heir now has a descendant. Bad news, she's not biologically related and already 17 years old. My mother, that fool. They might reluctantly accept her, but they'd never accept me, I said sensibly. "I'll stick to how I used to address you. I'm used to it, so I won't change." Gray Madam snorted coldly. The daughter's more sensible than her mother, but soon I proved myself insensible by saying, "I want to transfer my household registration here too." Gray Madam slammed the table angrily. "Having Charles marry your mother was already humiliating enough, now you tagging along. Are you trying to completely disgrace the Gray family?" I tried to reason gently. "Since Madam has already accepted my mother, throwing me back to our hometown to fend for myself would only invite criticism that the Grays look down on the lower class. What if, out of longing for my mother, I develop psychological issues and commit suicide? The Gray family would be splashed with the dirty water of keeping the mother but abandoning the child, a stain that could never be washed clean. But if you also take me in and transfer me to the best aristocratic school, I would be grateful. Everyone would see the Gray family's generosity. I'll also promote you and Mr. Gray to all the rich kids at the elite school. It'll help facilitate future collaborations between the Gray family and other influential families." Gray Mrs. Gray and Mr. Gray exchanged glances, then nodded in agreement. My mother looked at me puzzled. After Mrs. Gray and Mr. Gray left, she pulled me aside and asked, "Since when did you become so clever?" I forced a smile and asked, "If I weren't clever enough, you'd have sent me away already." My mother waved her hand. "How could that be? I originally planned to register the marriage first, then put in a good word for you with Charles. Even if you stayed on as a servant in the Gray family, at least you'd be by my side where I could look after you. Who knew you'd be so clever, getting them to acknowledge you and even sorting out your household registration. Now study hard and be filial to your mother. Without me, you wouldn't have this good life today, understand?" I smiled with my lips while my eyes darkened. "I understand. I'll definitely be filial to you." The marriage registration took mere minutes, but transferring household registration across provinces required a month. Only after the registration was settled could the school transfer be processed. My mom and Charles Gray went home and continued their shameless affair without a care. nobody paid any attention to me, so I grabbed my backpack and headed to school. The teachers and classmates had all seen the trending scandal. They pretended to sympathize with me to my face but laughed behind my back. I remained calm and focused, listening attentively in class and persistently asking teachers whenever I didn't understand something. One teacher sneered sarcastically, "Oh, so you actually care about studying? With that dull brain of yours and those terrible grades, it's a waste of effort. Maybe you should learn from your mom. Climbing into beds might be a better shortcut for you." I closed my textbook, my face displaying the calm of someone who's weathered storms watching shrimp dance disco. "Teacher, you're really jealous of my mom, aren't you?" The teacher glared. "What did you say? Why would I be jealous of a woman like your mother?" "Of course you would, because the only shortcut you can take is climbing into bed with that balding old principal, while my mom's man is tall, handsome, and rich. How could you not be jealous? How dare you spout such nonsense?" She raised her hand to hit me, but I grabbed her wrist and slapped her twice first, then seized her hair and pressed her face against the desk. "You think I don't know? Every time the principal drives you to work, you get out at the intersection near the school. I've seen it many times. You came from nothing yourself, climbed your way up by sleeping around, yet you look down on kids from poor backgrounds and let the rich kids bully us. Every time things escalate, you testify for those wealthy kids, calling us troublemakers who deserve to be beaten. Search your conscience. Are we really?" When she says things like this, it's fortunate if she encounters parents who believe their child, they'll transfer their child to another school, but if she meets parents who already distrust their child, her words become a death sentence for that child. I was beaten by my mother because of her. Later, when I stopped my mother from making the antidote for Charles Gray, causing her to miss her chance to marry into wealth, she decided I was just born evil, jealous of her happiness, and ultimately sold me off to northern Myanmar. There was even a girl who couldn't endure the rejection from both her family and school, and chose to end her life. I don't remember that girl's name, but I remember clearly how the teacher and those bullies all wore expressions that said, "People like her deserve to die." What kind of person are you to qualify as a teacher? The teacher shoved me away forcefully, and I tore out a handful of hair, blowing it away lightly. She stared at my vicious gaze, so unlike my age, and spat out, "You just wait." Then I ran out of the office. I knew she was going to complain to the principal, and she'd definitely call my parents. Avoiding the school cameras, I rushed to the top floor, tied my phone to a bamboo pole, and extended it near the principal's office window to record. The footage was blurry, but you could still make out the principal and teacher getting cozy. I returned to the teacher's office and used her computer to upload the video to the school forum. My mother arrived. Charles Gray's sports car appeared on campus just as the principal's wife also happened to arrive. The two women entered the office one after another. My mother thought she was another parent and said to her, "Kids these days are so troublesome." She replied, "Teachers these days are even more troublesome." My mom, entering the principal's office. My mom charged toward me furiously while the principal's wife rushed at that teacher. Before my mom could hit me, the principal's wife had already grabbed the teacher's hair and was slapping her hard. The principal, "Honey, it's a misunderstanding. The forum incident was fake. I've already figured it out." The principal's wife wouldn't listen at all, just kept slapping relentlessly. It seemed she'd noticed long ago but endured until now for lack of evidence. My mother was stunned. Behind her, Charles Gray, who'd been scrolling on his phone, looked up and switched to recording video. I asked my mother, "Do you want a wedding?" My mother froze. "Just hug me and cry if you want to." She didn't know what I was planning. My calm reaction instinctively frightened her, so she obediently started crying. I played her the recording of our teacher mocking her for sleeping her way up. She wailed even louder. I never thought my daughter would suffer such humiliation at school because of me. "I don't want to live anymore." Charles Gray hurried over. "Mary, what's wrong with you?" When my mom played the recording for him, he got so angry he smashed my phone. How dare some teacher from this shabby school insult Charles Gray's woman? Do they think I'm dead? The principal was busy breaking up the fight, his face already scratched up, but the moment he heard Charles Gray had arrived, he immediately came to apologize. I seized the moment to add fuel to the fire. "It's not just them, my classmates, their parents, everyone who knows about this has been mocking the young master for daring to do it but not daring to own up to it." Charles Gray flew into such a rage that he even hit the principal. The teacher was also beaten to a pulp and vanished overnight from J City. Charles Gray, to prove he was a man of his word, had my household registration transferred to J City the very next day, enrolled me in a prestigious school, and even bought me the latest model of phone as compensation. After I reminded him, Rumor has it that on the day I left, countless bullied students confessed their feelings for me on the school's confession wall. I'll take it as their way of thanking me. That very night, Charles Gray held an extravagant proposal ceremony on the penthouse floor of Jay's City's most luxurious hotel. He even gave my mother a domineering CEO-style black card, promising her a wedding grander than this spectacle, originally. Mr. Gray just wanted to quietly post their marriage certificate on the company website as a low-key statement. Who knew Charles Gray would get carried away and turn into an attention-seeking spectacle, becoming the laughingstock of the entire city? Even Gray Corporation's foreign clients saw Charles Gray's livestream confessing to a 48-year-old woman and kissing her amidst falling flower petals. They specially called to congratulate Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray was so angry his blood pressure spiked. And he went straight to the hospital. Mrs. Gray came back and immediately scolded my mother. Charles is young and doesn't know any better. But aren't you old enough to understand? How could you do something so shameful? Where does this leave me and his father's dignity? My mother touched the large diamond ring on her finger and said shyly, "How is this shameful? Isn't it a joyous occasion? Besides, I never expected Charles to give me such a big surprise, let alone kiss me in public." I refused, but I wasn't strong enough to push him away. Gray lady gnashed her teeth. "Put away this affected act of yours. At your age, what's with all this feigned fragility? My mother, Charles says no matter how old I get, I'll always be an 18-year-old girl in his eyes. This time, forget about Gray lady." Even I couldn't help feeling nauseous. No matter what, I'd achieved my goal. My mother and Charles Gray continued their shameless life together. While I left for the aristocratic school a month early, unlike my previous school, the students at the aristocratic school were all well-mannered. Most of them disdained fighting, brawling, and bullying, nor dared to, as it would tarnish their family's reputation. In their eyes, family interests took precedence above all else. The few students lacking family consciousness also didn't have significant backgrounds. Those they might want to bully were simply beyond their reach. I finally showed up. But before they could even think about bullying me, I became the beloved mascot of the very group they couldn't afford to mess with. Because my upbringing was completely different from theirs, they naturally gravitated toward me. "Heidi, did you not have to take piano lessons since childhood? Practice until your fingers cramped every day, and I bet you didn't have to master 8 languages while squeezing in equestrian, golf, and flower arrangement classes during your free time either. Don't you also not have to take posture classes or go out socializing with adults every week, listening to their boring business secrets?" I answered blankly, "No, I don't." "Wow, I'm so jealous of you." The envy in their eyes didn't seem fake, but I understood better than anyone that this was precisely the gap between me and them. Back home, I used Charles Gray's black card that he gave my mom to pay the tutoring fees. Beyond core subjects, I studied 8 foreign languages, fine arts, piano, equestrianism, and golf, anything that could elevate myself and expand my social circle to build connections. When my mom found out, she pointed her freshly manicured nails at me. "Why waste so much of my money learning all this useless stuff? Do you think you're me, that you'll catch the eye of some domineering CEO and marry into wealth? Not everyone gets to have dreams like these. If you ask me, you shouldn't even bother with school anymore, just stay home and be a maid. Later I'll find you a driver's son or a butler's son to marry, that'll guarantee you a stable married life. What a wonderful mother I have, selfish, self-centered, and favoring sons over daughters. Oh wait, she doesn't even have a son, she just plain looks down on me." In my past life, I would have been heartbroken and would have done everything to earn her approval, but now, I just want to squeeze money out of her. I coaxed patiently. "Mom, aren't I learning all these things for your sake? You're afraid of getting tan so you won't learn outdoor activities, and you think piano and foreign languages are too much effort, but all the rich kids at my school are learning them, their parents definitely know them too. What will you do when the young master takes you out in the future and you need to socialize with those noble ladies? If I learn it, you can take me along. When needed, I'll step up. You'll get the glory while I take the embarrassment. It'll show the Gray family values their daughter, and you'll look good too, killing 2 birds with 1 stone." My mother thought about it. "Makes sense, then go ahead and learn, but study hard, don't waste my money." She continued her extravagant lifestyle, reveling nightly with Charles Gray, while I began studying day and night, rising early to practice posture, squeezing in oral practice with classmates between classes, burning the midnight oil to boost grades, practicing piano and horseback riding on weekends. Not a single day of rest. A month later, Charles Gray received an invitation to a business gala. My mother wanted to go too. Otherwise her jewelry and haute couture would have no stage to shine. Not even her fantasy of a domineering CEO and heroine making a stunning entrance before a crowd could be fulfilled. To prevent her from embarrassing herself, Grey Madam strictly forbade her from attending any public events with Charles Grey, not even allowing her to visit the company. Holding the party invitation, she said, "Charles, look, it says you can bring family, take me with you, I want to see the world too." Charles Grey refused. "This is a very formal cocktail party with many important people I can't afford to offend. What would I bring you for? You don't even understand their foreign language. If something awkward happens, my mother will blame you again. My mother called me over, I may not understand, but my daughter does, she'll translate for me. I promise nothing will go wrong." Charles Grey scoffed. "Bring her, don't be ridiculous. When people say, bring family, they mean spouses, not kids. Besides, she's not even my child. She thinks high school English makes her a translator. You think this is some class reunion?" My mother's face darkened as she gripped my shoulders tightly, whispering fiercely in my ear, "You're the one who said learning those things would bring me honor. If I can't even step out the door, then you've got no business studying either." Studying was my foundation for climbing upward. I absolutely couldn't give up halfway. Right in front of Charles Grey, I called my classmate and conversed in fluent English. Charles Grey stood dumbfounded. I could tell from the clarity in his eyes that he'd missed at least 2 sentences. Has the persona of the elite business returnee already crumbled? I hung up the phone and said with a smile, "Young master, my classmate is James' youngest son. He'll also be attending the banquet with James." He mentioned James has an impressive project seeking partners, with many companies vying for a share. "If you take me along, we could leverage my connection to get ahead in speaking with James." Charles Grey scoffed. "Since when do I need your connections?" Grey happened to pass by and pointed at me, saying, "She's right, that's a good project. Are you sure you can get through to James?" I nodded, "Absolutely." "Grey, then come with me, my mom is coming too." Grey turned around and glared at me displeasedly. "What's the use of her going, if the whole family attends such an occasion except her? What do you think people outside would speculate?" Grey hesitated for a moment, then warned my mother, "You can go, but speak less and leave after making an appearance." My mother smiled brightly. "All right, I'll go change my clothes right away." She dashed upstairs in a flash, forgetting that I didn't have a formal dress at all. Mr. Grey personally instructed Mrs. Grey to arrange a dress for me. After putting it on, the posture I'd practiced for a month showed results. Mrs. Grey's critical eyes swept over me repeatedly, yet she couldn't find any fault. When we went downstairs and saw my mother's exaggerated makeup, jewelry-covered body, and long-trailed haute couture gown, Mrs. Grey's temples began throbbing violently again. "Go change your clothes. This is a cocktail party, not your wedding. Even your daughter dresses better than you. After marrying into this family for so long, you still haven't learned how to dress properly or improve your posture. You look hideous." My mother-in-law didn't like hearing that. When she came downstairs after changing, she deliberately made me help her, trying to trip me. I've seen too many of these petty tricks in my past life in northern Myanmar. I simply raised my foot and stepped right over her ankle. My mother-in-law let out a sharp, "Ah," and tumbled down the stairs herself. Charles Grey quickly helped her up. "Mary, are you all right?" I also showed concern. "Mom, are you okay? Did you trip over your long skirt?" My mother couldn't possibly admit she tried to trip me but ended up falling herself, so she gritted her teeth and nodded. "Yes, the skirt was too long," Mrs. Grey said. "Then go change again." Charles Grey picked her up. "There's no time, let's leave it at that." My mother instantly forgot her pain, nestling shyly in his arms. "Thank you, Charles, you're always so considerate, speaking up for me when I'm bullied." Charles Grey was quite taken by her act. "I'm your husband. If I don't protect you, who will?" Mrs. Grey trembled with rage. "Sometimes I really want to call the police." I completely agree. I didn't get in my mother's car, but rode with Grey and her family instead. Though the atmosphere was rather solemn, they were normal people who wouldn't hug each other shamelessly in public. At the cocktail party, my classmate Andy James spotted me from afar, dressed in a tailcoat. He approached me like a perfect gentleman to say hello, and I curtsied in response. "Heidi, you look absolutely stunning today." I smiled at him. "You're quite handsome too." His face immediately turned red. I was speechless. Is he really this innocent? James immediately followed up. "So you're the hard-working transfer student my son keeps mentioning. I hear you're so outstanding that even the top students at elite schools feel inferior." I nodded gently and said, "Hello, Uncle James. I don't deserve the word excellent, everyone is outstanding. I've just been lucky to score well once or twice, Mr. James nodded approvingly. High emotional intelligence, perfect. You can teach my tongue-tied boy a thing or two, and these two are. I was about to say they were Chairman Gray and his wife when Mr. Gray chuckled and said, we're Heidi's grandparents. Humph, so now they admit to being my grandparents. James shook hands with them. Chairman Gray, Mrs. Gray, pleased to meet you. James wanted to chat with me further, but Charles Gray pulled his father aside and dragged me away. He shook hands with James, forcibly steering the conversation toward the project, causing James's face to darken with displeasure. Mrs. Gray noticed Susan's arrival and went to greet her, but I observed that Susan wasn't looking at Mrs. Gray at all. Her gaze was fixed on Charles Gray. Could it be that her becoming Charles Gray's antidote in her past life wasn't accidental? I'm still wet behind the ears and can't let my mom fall out of favor so quickly. I warned my mom, if you still want your true love, keep an eye on that woman. My mom got angry. What do you mean? In those domineering CEO dramas, the male lead's love for the female lead is always exclusive and intense. Charles would never shift his affections. I'm the only one in his heart. I gave her a thumbs up. All right, pretend I never said anything. My mother pinched the flesh on the inside of my arm. You wretched girl, first you tripped me and made me fall down the stairs. I haven't even settled that score with you yet, and now you're wishing for my divorce. Is that it? I grabbed her wrist. Mom, look at the setting we're in. If I were to shout right now, do you think Mrs. Gray would ever let you out of the house again? My mother released her grip. I'll deal with you when we get home. She glanced at James, then whispered to me, did any of those things you studied teach you how to get closer to the big boss? I brushed it off casually. Just cater to their preferences. That's simple. She released me and went over to link arms with Charles Gray. Hello, President James. I'm Charles's wife. Where's your wife? Didn't she come? Or do you not bring her out because you don't like her? James' face darkened. Everyone in the business district knew James had just lost his spouse, and everyone tactfully avoided mentioning it. Charles Gray awkwardly pulled my mother back. Sorry, James, she just returned from abroad. My mother blinked her big eyes, unable to hide her crow's feet, delighted that Charles Gray had chosen this moment to elevate her status. Clearly, she'd done something right. Yes, I just came back from abroad. People there are more open-minded. If you're unhappy in your marriage, you just get divorced. If you and your wife are only together for appearances, like my in-laws were, just a marriage of convenience with no real feelings, then it's better to divorce early and pursue your own happiness. James always kept a cold face. You chat, I'll excuse myself first. Charles Gray tried to catch up. James, my mother grabbed him. Charles, I never thought James would still be shy at his age. Why are you looking at me like that? Do you dislike me too? Charles Gray sighed. I didn't before, but now I'm starting to. I sighed too. It seemed I'd have to work even harder, feeling like time was running out for me. Andy, James said to me, don't worry, Heidi, I'll find a way to get my dad to cooperate with the Gray family. I shook my head at him. No, I'd rather you didn't get involved in this matter. My connections are far too precious to waste on something so unworthy. Besides, even if I did use it, they wouldn't thank me. They'd just think Gray family is impressive for catching James's eye. My mom rushed over to confront me. What nonsense did you teach? Charles said. James is furious. I rolled my eyes at her. I told you to cater to his tastes, not yours. Just because she's love-struck doesn't mean the whole world is. Most of the time afterward, I stayed by Mr. Gray's side, quietly accompanying him as he socialized with various executives. Between their laughter and banter, many business trends were revealed, which I silently memorized. Mr. Gray was initially somewhat annoyed by my presence, but later he noticed that I spoke little yet was quick-witted, handing him drinks when he wanted to toast and secretly diluting his alcohol when he'd had too much. Eventually, his annoyance faded, and he even introduced me to some old friends, saying I was a junior that even James held in high regard. Just as I became engrossed in their conversation, my mother dragged me away again. You're right, there's something off about that woman. When she first offered to introduce Charles to several executives, I thought it was out of respect for Madame Gray, but look, since when do elders cling so intimately to younger men's arms? She even pretended to be drunk earlier, leaning into Charles's embrace. Now they're whispering in some foreign language I can't understand at all. So they urgently needed me to interpret. As we stood closer to them, Susan noticed and switched to French. She said, do you understand now what kind of person can truly help you? I understood perfectly. Charles Gray clearly didn't and responded with a silent smile. Susan, having navigated the business world for years, was adept at reading people. She switched to English. I can help you secure Project James. How do you plan to repay me? Charles Gray looked at her with meaningful eyes. Susan's shawl slipped from her shoulders, and Charles Gray's gaze followed it down. With years of cosmetic maintenance, Susan still retains her charm at 50, though my mother relied on her romantic whims and tricks to keep Charles Gray interested for a while. She could never hold on to him forever. On one side was a sexy, career-boosting powerhouse, and on the other, a clueless troublemaker. The difference was obvious. My mother gripped my arm. What did they say? I replied. They've been staring at each other for so long. Do you really need me to translate? I was just thinking of ways to highlight my mother's strengths when she rushed forward and slapped Susan. You shameless bitch. How dare you seduce my husband? Susan was stunned for a moment, but then I saw a triumphant smile flash in her eyes. I had to admit, when it came to acting skills, Susan was superior. She didn't shed a single tear. Yet her forced smile and demeanor of enduring humiliation moved everyone's hearts. Mrs. Gray rushed over and slapped my mother. Have you lost your mind, daring to hit my best friend? Charles Gray looked at Susan's swollen face and also slapped my mother. How dare you hit my Aunt Susan? My mother had been spoiled rotten lately, and receiving 2 slaps drove her mad with indignation. Just as she was about to throw a tantrum, I whispered in her ear, she's way out of your league, play dead. My mother gasped and collapsed to the ground. I quickly helped her find a doctor to escape the scene. Back at Gray's house, my mother continued pretending to faint while I slipped into the surveillance room, searching for clues during the day of the Gray family's banquet. As I had suspected, Gray's wife saw through my mother's act and stood by the bed cursing non-stop. You shrew, what a shrew, I told you not to bring her out. Now look, not only have you offended President James, but you've also alienated my only close friend. Charles Gray was also utterly disappointed in my mother. You always play the delicate flower, but suddenly you're strong enough to hit people. You nearly took my head off with that slap. You've completely humiliated me. My mother was full of grievances, but on the way back, I warned her to play dead until she heard from me if she didn't want to be kicked out of the Gray family. She had no choice but to endure it, Mr. Gray. To make such a scene at such a formal banquet, and now our family dominates the trending topics again. Every Gray family member is a drama queen. The Gray Group CEO embroiled in a twilight romance. The PR team doesn't even know how to handle this, and I have no idea how to explain this to Ms. Susan. James's project was counting on Ms. Susan to make the connection, and now it's surely ruined. You're nothing but a jinx. Ever since you married into this family, nothing good has happened. Mrs. Gray said, why don't we just say she has psychological issues and send her to a mental hospital for a while? After some time, we'll have her divorce Charles. I'll explain things to Susan. Charles Gray looked at my mother with little reluctance in his eyes. That might be the only way. Send her daughter along too. Out of sight, out of mind. My mother couldn't keep up the act anymore and sat up. I'm not going to a mental hospital. I'm not sick. It's that Susan who's seducing Charles. Was I wrong to hit her? Mrs. Gray snapped. Stop talking nonsense. She's my best friend, Charles's godmother who watched him grow up. Do you think everyone is as shameless as you? An old woman still trying to crawl into a young man's bed. And don't you dare call me mom. I'll make the call right now, tonight. You and your daughter are getting out of my house. Someone, tie up this woman and that little bitch. 2 bodyguards rushed in. Just then, my mom's phone pinged with my message. She opened it immediately, her eyes widening in shock. Wait, my mom held up her phone, showing them the surveillance footage. You accuse me of framing Susan. Look for yourselves. This is proof she seduced Charles. The video consists of 2 segments. In the first, Susan calls over a servant, asking them to help her find something, and while the servant is distracted, she secretly adds something to the wine. The second segment shows the same servant serving the wine to Charles Gray, who then experiences physical discomfort after drinking it. Most wealthy families wouldn't install surveillance cameras near the kitchen entrance, but Gray's wife specifically placed one there to prevent servants from stealing ingredients. Susan never expected this, which is why she was accidentally caught on camera. Charles Gray murmured to himself, so it was her. Mrs. Gray was rendered speechless. Mr. Gray rubbed his temples. Beware of fire, thieves, and best friends, yet you're always guarding against me. Never imagined she'd set her sights on our son, did you? Mrs. Gray collapsed emotionally. Is this something to be proud of, Mr. Gray? I was just wondering how to explain this to her, by making it public. I won't need to explain anymore, she'll owe our family an explanation instead, Mrs. Gray intervened. We can't go public, it's not just her who'll lose face, our family's reputation will suffer too. We can use this video to make her step forward and settle things quietly, then help you secure the partnership with James. Charles, you're forbidden from seeing her again. Charles Gray remained deep in thought, judging by his expression. Being targeted by Susan, even resorting to drugging, didn't humiliate him. Instead, he seemed secretly pleased. My mother called out to him, Charles, did you hear me? Charles Gray responded perfunctorily, I heard you, I got it. Ms. Gray glanced at my mother. No matter what, you've still caused trouble for the Gray family. From today onward, you're forbidden from going out. Having narrowly avoided being sent to a mental institution, my mother could only swallow her pride this time. I understand, Mom. After they had all turned off their lights and gone to rest, I was still tied up in the courtyard, guarded by 2 bodyguards awaiting orders. I knew it, this whole mess would end with me being the only one hurt. That's just how my world works. They've all gone to bed, so surely everything's fine now. Can you untie me? From that day on, Charles Gray lost interest in my mother. Mrs. Gray noticed the signs and, relieved that her son had come to his senses, began finding every opportunity to make my mother's life difficult. My mother returned to being a servant, working even harder than before. In the mornings, she prepared low-fat breakfasts for Mrs. Gray, then arranged flowers, watered plants, cleaned the fish pond, and tidied the garden. At noon, she gave Mrs. Gray massages, brewed tea after her nap, and washed her feet in the evenings. Despite such exhaustion, Charles Gray still wouldn't leave her alone at night. In the dead of night, my mother retreated to the servants' quarters. Heidi, come rub my back. I was busy solving problems. Mom, I don't have time. Go bump into a tree in the yard. You ungrateful child, won't even take care of your own mother. Tomorrow you'll do my work. I'm having a beautician come. That wretched old woman treats me like a servant. My skin's gone rough. Just now when Charles touched me, he said I felt prickly. Can't do it, Mom. Monthly exams tomorrow. What's the point of exams? Even if you get into college, you won't marry into wealth. Stop wasting time and help me at home dealing with that wretched old woman. When she dies, Gray family will be mine. Don't worry, you'll have your share of the good life. What good life? Marrying the chauffeur's son or the butler's son? I didn't get Reborn just to let her arrange my marriage. I'm here to become the wealthy family itself. I put down my pen and emotionally manipulated her. Mom, isn't this the happy retirement you wanted? You've got to put in the effort. Only by being pitiful enough can you win the young master's affection. If I do all the work for you, how will he ever see how pitiful you are? Besides, I'm studying hard for your sake too. When I get good grades, it'll bring you honor and make Gray Madam think you've raised me well. Won't that make her respect you more? My mother nodded. You're right, go ahead and study then. Bang bang. Someone knocked at the door. My mom quickly pretended to be asleep. The person outside effortlessly took out a spare key and opened the door. Mary, I found you. The game isn't over yet. Why did you hide here? I rolled my eyes, grabbed my test papers, and went into the bathroom, putting on earplugs. After another month passed, my mother's diligence finally satisfied Gray Madam enough to let her go out, but Gray Madam stared at my mother's belly and asked suspiciously, Didn't you already have a daughter? Why is there still no news? My mother was startled and immediately made an appointment with a traditional Chinese doctor to regulate her body, dragging me along as cover. The doctor felt her pulse and said, You've already gone through menopause, and you still want a child. My mom, what? Can't do it, and you call yourself a famous doctor. You can cure terminal illnesses but can't treat menopause. And so, my mom started drinking Chinese herbal medicine. 3 doses of herbal medicine every day. I'd heat it up and bring it to her room, where she'd sneak over to drink it. After half a month of drinking it, she hadn't reached her limit yet. Charles Gray had, past 10 p.m., Charles Gray wanted to go out. My mom stopped him in her pajamas. Charles, where are you going so late? Charles Gray, your daughter drinks herbal medicine. So why do you reek of it? It makes me nauseous. Can't I go out for some fresh air? My mom held his arm. Then wait for me to change. I'll go with you. Charles Gray pushed her away. You still smell like Chinese medicine. Stay away from me. My mother couldn't voice her bitterness. Watching Charles Gray drive off, my mother cried angrily and ran to complain to Mrs. Gray. Mrs. Gray laughed heartily. Wonderful. My son is finally seeing other women. My mom was speechless. My mother could only run back crying to me, what should I do? Without children, he'll grow tired of me too. His mother is even gloating about it. Weren't you always full of ideas before? Hurry up and think of something. With just 1 month left until my college entrance exams, it was time to renew those expensive elite courses. If I help you, you'll renew all my courses for 3 months, until summer break ends. My mom, no problem, you've got a plan, give me your phone. I located Charles Gray through my iPhone ID account and headed out on my bicycle. Charles Gray was at an upscale private club. I sneaked in through the kitchen pretending to be a new hire, changed into waiter's clothes in the break room, and spent some time locating Charles Gray's private room. This was a skill I honed through countless escapes in my past life. It might not have worked against human traffickers in northern Myanmar, but it was enough to fool the people at this club. Just as I suspected, the person who arranged to meet Charles Gray was Susan. Men never change their cheating ways, especially when they know a woman is willing to go to any lengths for them. Like flies drawn to dung, they can't help but flock to it. I took photos of their intimate moment, pixelated Susan's face, and anonymously sent them to entertainment reporters from an internet cafe. The uncensored photos were sent to Mrs. Gray. I didn't show them to my mother because she's brainless and would mess things up if she can't resist confronting Charles Gray, or if Charles Gray sees she has uncensored photos, I'd be in danger. Scumbags are just like trash. There's no limit to how vicious they can be. I only told my mom that Charles Gray went out looking for women and got photographed by reporters. Soon the scandal broke out. She went through the whole hysterical routine, crying, making scenes, even threatening suicide, outdoing even a woman weeping at the Great Wall with her melodrama. Charles Gray's affair affected the company's reputation. Mr. Gray gave him an earful and put him under house arrest. As for his son's taste in women, Mr. Gray was at a loss for words. He likes them at 18, Charles Gray prefers them at 80. Mrs. Gray no longer thought about breaking them apart and began praising my mother against her own conscience, saying that if Charles Gray didn't cherish my mother, he shouldn't call her his mother anymore. In her eyes, her son was beyond saving. If she had to choose between Susan and my mother, she'd rather it be my mother. Charles Gray, under Mrs. Gray's pressure, also began to feel guilty toward my mother and treated her even better, never again mentioning how the smell of herbal medicine disgusted him. In a way, my mother turned misfortune into blessing. She stopped blindly believing in the CEO's unwavering devotion and finally saw the disclaimer at the beginning of the short drama. This story is purely fictional. She worked even harder to maintain her figure and skin, learning all sorts of new tricks to please Charles Gray. After drinking traditional Chinese medicine, she would immediately rinse her mouth and spray half a bottle of mouth freshener before feeling reassured enough to return to the room. I successfully swiped my card and renewed my classes. With just half a month left before the college entrance exams, I was swamped with work when suddenly I received a message from my mom asking me to save her. Still needing money myself, I rushed home immediately. As I entered the door, Gray was cheerfully seeing the doctor out. My heart skipped a beat. Oh no, but then I realized something was off. Why would Gray be smiling if they'd discovered Mom's menopause? Wasn't she supposed to be rooting for their divorce? I rushed into the house and saw my mother and Charles Gray embracing on the sofa, Charles Gray caressing my mother's belly with a blissful smile. Is Mom pregnant? Gray Mrs. walked in. Heidi, you're going to have a little brother. Mary, you too. Why keep such good news from me? My mother stroked her belly smugly. I wasn't sure before and didn't want to get everyone's hopes up prematurely. Mom's so thoughtful, arranging for the doctor to come. Gray madam, the doctor said you're not in good health. Be extra careful during your pregnancy. Just tell me whatever you'd like to eat. My mother, thanks, Mom. Heidi, why are you back home in this sweltering heat? I wiped my sweat. It's nothing, I forgot something. I'll head back to my room first. I went back to my room to continue solving practice problems, not noticing Gray Mrs. Gray and Charles Gray exchanging glances at me. Not long after, my mom came to find me. Heidi, with the college entrance exams coming up, you must be really busy. Seeing you commute back and forth in this heat is too exhausting. How about I arrange for you to board at school? I suppressed a smile and put on a reluctant expression. All right, Mom, you should take care of yourself too. I'll definitely come visit you on weekends. No need to visit, I'll be just fine. Call if you need anything. Spend more time studying and come home less often. We hugged each other, putting on a show of mother-daughter affection while secretly harboring our own thoughts. I had wanted to live on campus for a long time, but my mom needed me to help with all the dirty and exhausting chores, so she never agreed to let me stay at school. now it's perfect, she's pregnant, and I've become the most unwelcome person in this house. After packing my luggage, my mom saw me off to the car and gave me 1,000 yuan as pocket money. This is way too little, I clung to my mother. Sobbing uncontrollably, Mom, we've always relied on each other, mother and daughter, never been apart, I can't bear to leave you, Mom, I'll miss you so much, I'll call you every day after evening self-study. Charles Gray couldn't stand my mournful wailing and shoved 50,000 yuan at me. It's time you grew up and learned to be independent, don't bother us unless it's important, preferably never let us see you again. When my mother heard this, she said nothing. Just turned away while rubbing her belly. I won't pretend anymore, as long as the money's good enough. This could very well be my last time seeing her. After this, how she fares as a wealthy socialite will be entirely up to her. I turned and got into the car. The dormitories at elite schools are quite luxurious, with so few residents. I could even choose a single room. After moving into the dorm, my room became the secret hideout for those rich second-generation kids who would come by to vent about their parents whenever they felt like it. I welcomed them warmly because they always brought me imported snacks and juicy business secrets. Using Charles Gray's 50,000 yuan investment for stock trading, combined with memories from my past life in northern Myanmar and key intel extracted from my wealthy classmates, I made steady profits without fail. By the time college entrance exams ended, I had already amassed nearly 500,000 yuan in seed money. My classmates saw how skilled I was and immediately handed over their pocket money to me, asking me to help them make their money grow, in exchange for a commission. This way, they could also tell their parents they'd already learned how to invest. It turned out to be a great money-making opportunity, especially since they were always generous with their spending. I planned to rent a place outside during summer break, cramming university courses while trading stocks to earn money and understand market trends. That way, I could start my own company once college began. Who knew my mom would get into trouble again? She called while I was house hunting. Heidi, get to the King Hotel right away. We'll meet there. Help me figure out how to make Charles give up on that Susan. I couldn't be bothered. Still inspecting the place, I casually asked, weren't you the Gray family's treasure since getting pregnant? How did he get involved with Susan again? My mother tearfully complained about her advanced age, severe pregnancy symptoms, and even spotting that indicated a risk of miscarriage. The doctor repeatedly emphasized the need for proper rest. Charles Gray still couldn't resist touching her. It's all because I'm too irresistible. I cut her off. Get to the point, my mother continued. Gray madam took charge and kicked Charles out of the room, assigning special caretakers to look after me. I'd just enjoyed a few peaceful days when, wouldn't you know it, Charles couldn't stay away from me and lost control again. Running back to Susan, I wondered aloud, how do you know he went to see Susan? Did you catch them red-handed? My mother replied, I'm on my way to catch them now. Just received an anonymous text with Charles Gray's hotel room number and photos of Charles Gray entering the hotel arm-in-arm with Susan. I'm bringing bodyguards to confront them, I calmly analyzed. You'd better not go, that anonymous number seems suspicious. What about Mrs. Gray? Isn't she stopping you? The sound of a car door opening came from my mom's side. What could possibly be wrong? The things between me and Gray's family frequently trend online. It must be some kind soul giving me a heads up, trying to save me from being cheated on. My mother-in-law wasn't home as she had social engagements. Even if she were, I couldn't tell her. On one side is her childhood best friend, on the other her own son. She definitely wouldn't take my side. I'm here, hurry up, I'm going upstairs first. If you dare not show up, I'll cut off your allowance. She hung up the phone. I don't need her to cover my living expenses anymore. Putting away my phone, I double-checked the details around the apartment before telling the agent. The place works for me, but I only need it for 2 months. Can you offer a better price? The agent said they needed to consult the owner. So I waited on the couch. Just then, my mom called again. When I answered, she remained silent, but I could hear Charles Gray and Susan having fun in the background. Likely her phone had accidentally dialed me from inside her bag. Charles Gray said emotionally, Aunt Susan, you've maintained yourself so well, much better than Mary. Ever since she got pregnant, Mary has been eating non-stop without getting out of bed, lying there like a fat seal. It makes me sick just looking at her. My mother shouted hoarsely in anger, Charles Gray, I'm carrying your child. How could you say such things about me? Then chaos erupted immediately. Charles Gray shouted, Mary, what are you doing here? Susan, Mary, let go of me. How dare you, a mere servant, hit me? My mother, I'm hitting exactly who I meant to, you old vixen, seducing my man. My stomach, Charles Gray, Aunt Susan, why have you lost so much hair? Mary, this is all your fault, if Aunt Susan goes bald. I'll shave your head too to compensate her, Aunt Susan, I'm taking you to the hospital right now. My mother groaned in pain. Charles, my stomach hurts so bad, take me to the hospital first, or we'll lose our baby. Charles Gray, stop pretending, Aunt Susan didn't even touch you, you sat down on your own, how could the baby be hurt? I'm taking Aunt Susan to the hospital first. When I get back, you're going to regret this. Everyone, get out, let her stay here alone and reflect. Bodyguards. Yes, young master, Charles, I'm not lying to you, it really hurts. There's so much blood. Charles, save me, save our baby. Charles Gray, you bastard, I'm your wife. The only response was the sound of the hotel room door slamming shut. Her cries grew fainter and fainter. How utterly stupid, I told you not to go. It was clearly targeting her child. I hung up the phone, called an ambulance, and reported it to the police. The agent walked in and said, I discussed it with the landlord. He agreed that if you share the apartment with him, he'll only charge half the rent. The apartment has 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, so even with roommates, we wouldn't disturb each other. I agreed. While packing my things back at school, my mom called again. Where are you? Where the hell have you been? I'm at the hospital and need surgery. Come sign the papers. I won't be legally an adult for another month. My signature wouldn't count. Ask Mrs. Gray. My mom started cursing. Gray's family doesn't care about me anymore. They all went to see Susan. I told them I'm miscarrying and need surgery, but they wouldn't listen. They're all bastards, and now you don't want to take care of me either, you ungrateful wretch. After all I've done raising you, I reminded her, when I left the Gray family, it was you who said never to let you see me again. I obeyed your words, and now you're unhappy. My mother, you. The doctor took the phone. In this situation, we'll have her sign the surgical consent herself. You'd better come to the hospital immediately. Her condition is very serious. Should I let her go, then I really should go see them off. When I arrived at the hospital, my mother was still in surgery. During the operation, there was massive bleeding. A nurse rushed out and asked me, your mother has a rare blood type. The hospital blood bank doesn't have this type. What's your blood type? I replied, type B, I take after my father's blood type. The nurse had no choice but to make a hospital broadcast hoping someone with the same blood type would come forward to donate. Watching the doctors and nurses rushing in and out, I remembered my past life in northern Myanmar. Unable to bear deceiving people, the compound's Frank threatened to chop off my hand. I called my mother, begging her to save me. She coldly replied, I'm not her mother, stop letting her disturb me. You can chop her to death for all I care, don't expect a single cent from me, but I'll tell you this, she's got a rare blood type. You could get good money just selling her blood. That day they pinned me down and drained bag after bag of my blood. I could practically feel my heart about to stop beating. Fortunately, Frank was after my blood and organs, so he didn't kill me immediately. That day, I came to fully understand what kind of person my mother truly was. So in this lifetime, how could I possibly donate blood to her? Not draining her blood to sell for money was already me being more than generous. The surgery lasted 4 hours, and my mother barely managed to cling to life. Gray Madam finally came over, glanced at me sitting motionless, sneered, and went straight to see the doctor. The doctor informed Gray Madam that my mother had signed herself to have her uterus removed in order to save her life. Gray Madam nodded. Well, that makes things easier. I was quite disappointed too. I didn't get to personally see her buried in peace. My mother woke up shortly after being transferred to the ward and immediately wanted to take her anger out on me. Don't be so quick to scold me. Someone's been waiting for you for a long time. I opened the hospital room door, and she turned her head. You ignored me when I miscarried. What are you doing here now? Gray's lawyer awkwardly cleared his throat. Ms. Heidi, I'm here on behalf of Gray to deliver divorce papers. My mother looked at him incredulously. Is this Charles Gray's intention, or Mrs. Gray's? The lawyer told her, it's Mrs. Gray's intention. But young Master Gray signed without hesitation, with reddened eyes. My mother screamed hoarsely, where is he? Tell him to come see me. I spoke up, he's in Susan's hospital room. The entire Gray family is busy comforting Susan after you pulled out a handful of her hair. My mother, impossible. Mr. Gray and Mrs. Gray would never allow Charles to be with Susan. I laughed. With Susan's status and methods, do you really think she couldn't handle Mr. Gray, who only cares about profit? Mrs. Gray has no earning ability just like you. so she has no say in the Gray family. I watched them argue for a while, and eventually Mrs. Gray compromised. My mother stubbornly refused to sign. Tell Charles to come see me, he can't just abandon me like this. I was the one who saved him back then, and he promised to treat me well forever. Gray. Mrs. Gray walked in, looked at her, and gave a self-deprecating smile. My husband promised to listen to me forever. And my son swore he'd be filial his whole life. And what happened? This is how it ends. $1.5 million is more than enough. Sign it, and you can retire frugally. My mother refused to sign, tears streaming endlessly. In those short dramas, no matter how far the male lead strays, he always returns to the female lead. I'll wait for the day Charles Gray comes crawling back. Gray. Mrs. Gray couldn't stand her. Then we'll settle this legally. After she and the lawyer left, I tried to reason with my mother. For him to come crawling back, you'd have to divorce first. If you stubbornly cling on, he'll never chase after you. My mother was so angry that she turned sideways to hit me, but I took a step back, making her swing at empty air. You dare dodge. I crossed my arms. Why wouldn't I dare? When someone tries to hit me, isn't it perfectly natural to avoid it? My mother was too weak. She couldn't do anything to me. Yet still commanded with righteous indignation, figure something out for me. Aren't you clever? You must have a way to make Charles change his mind. I can't do anything about it. My mother pointed at me with bloodshot eyes. Do you also think I deserve this? You should think carefully. Without me, would you have had the chance to attend elite schools? Could you have taken all those expensive courses only rich kids get to learn? You ungrateful wretch. You good for nothing. What do you mean you can't do anything? If you can't, then get on your knees and beg, cry your eyes out, go threaten suicide at Gray's doorstep. Do whatever it takes to make him change his mind. I pressed her hand back onto the hospital bed. Isn't it the other way around? Back then, if I hadn't made a scene, even if you'd slept with Charles Gray, Mrs. Gray would have found 100 ways to make you disappear. Charles Gray would have forgotten who you were within days. Now you've seen how heartless he can be. No matter what you do, he won't change his mind. Stop watching those sugary romance dramas. You've been cast in the tragic supporting role script, but you can hold off on divorcing him for now. As long as you don't sign the papers, they're legally obligated to keep paying for your nursing care. My mother looked shocked. You won't take care of me yourself. You'd make me hire a nurse. I don't have time. As I left the hospital room, I heard her shout behind me, it's all your fault. Why didn't you stop me back then? I did try to stop her. This time around, I won't waste my life on her anymore. After leaving the hospital, I went to school to move my things to the new place, where I saw Andy James coming out of the secondary bedroom. You're not the landlord, are you? Andy James smiled. Honestly, when I said I wanted to buy this place, even my dad thought I was nuts. He refused to help. So I used last year's New Year's money to get it. I replaced the bed and sofa, swapped out the water heater. If there's anything else you're not happy with, just let me know. I gasped. I think you're a little crazy too. I'm only staying here for 2 months, and with housing prices dropping, you might not even be able to sell it. Andy James, I can rent it first, then sell when housing prices rise. I won't lose money. I walked up to him, staring into his clear black and white eyes. Andy James, do you like me? Are you doing all this to get me? Andy James's face instantly flushed red. I do like you, but I'm not thinking anything else. I just feel bad about your situation and want to take care of you. I nodded and smiled at him. Thank you, but I need to make this clear. I won't be dating anyone for the next 10 years. I want to study hard, build my company, and focus on making money. Relationships would affect my efficiency and waste too much of my precious time. 10 years from now, if I succeed and you're still single, Andy James swallowed hard, would you be with me? I shook my head. I'd choose the most suitable person from all the talented young men pursuing me to have a relationship with. As for marriage and the future, it depends on my mood at the time and that person's performance. Andy James opened his mouth but couldn't utter a single word. You think I'm cruel, don't you? But this is my plan, and I won't change it just because you've been kind to me. All I can say now is sorry. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. Andy James called out to me, Heidi, since I've rented the place to you, just stay, consider it a friend's help. I'll keep striving too. Let's meet at the summit. Thanks for your kind words. After that day, Andy James didn't share the same roof with me, but still only charged me half the rent. On results day, my wealthy friends insisted on video calling me to check our scores together. They all had their families gathered around when opening their results, while I was alone, probably why they insisted we do it together. afraid no one would comfort me. What they didn't know was that ever since James publicly put me in my place last time, I'd been deliberately controlling my scores to save face for these rich kids, which made them mistakenly think my grades had slipped. Andy James thought my academic decline was due to grief over my mother's situation, which is why he felt so sorry for me. I genuinely think it's completely unnecessary, but they're all my employers, so I couldn't really refuse. After checking the results, families with high achievers celebrate together. Dad buys a car, mom buys a bag. For those who didn't do as well, the whole family comforts them, saying studying abroad won't make much difference, and they'll still be outstanding successors when they return in a few years. Only I stare at my blank transcript, completely expected, utterly calm inside. Seeing my calm demeanor, they all came to comfort me. Heidi, don't be too sad, maybe you should repeat the year, or maybe you could study abroad. I lowered my head with a faint smile. Heidi, how much did you actually score? Your reaction is making me a little scared. At this point, I stopped pretending and showed them my blank score report. Andy James, Heidi, did you forget to write your name? Why is it blank? James overheard and came over to look. He smacked Andy James's head. You idiot. Heidi ranked in the top 20 citywide. You're done for, kid. She's way out of your league now. All the classmates who had been comforting me froze in shock. The next second, my phone blew up with calls, and I ended the video chat. City J saw recruitment officers from both prestigious schools approaching me to discuss majors and benefits. I already had my goal in mind, so I didn't hesitate for long. Even past midnight, my heart remained restless. I had finally taken a crucial step toward my success. Though sleepless through the night, I forced myself to rest. A healthy body is indispensable for achieving success. The next day, I was jolted awake from my dreams by the ringing phone. When I answered, my mother's gentle and affectionate voice came through. Heidi, come have a meal with me. I miss you. I snapped wide awake instantly, my first thought being, did she find out I got into a prestigious university? That day I'd asked my classmates to keep it secret. They wouldn't have betrayed me, would they? Whatever it is, you can tell me over the phone. I probed cautiously. Mom, nothing urgent. Just missed you and wanted to see you. Come to DH restaurant. I've reserved a private room. After some thought, I decided to go. You can't stay on guard forever. When I arrived at the hotel's private room, my mother was already waiting inside. After just a few days apart, her hair had turned noticeably grayer, her complexion haggard. No amount of heavy makeup could conceal her exhaustion. She was dressed in clothes resembling Mrs. Gray's, wearing 2 pieces of jewelry that also looked quite old. In the past, she would never have dressed like this, let alone worn such outdated jewelry. She ran over and hugged me. Heidi, I've figured it out. You're truly the one who cares about me. I've decided to divorce Charles Gray. We'll take that 1.5 million and go abroad. Wherever you want to go, I'll take you. This embrace and these words were what I yearned for most in my past life. But now, they couldn't sway me in the slightest. I absent-mindedly patted her arm. Let's go now then. Don't be like that. I've already ordered food. Have some before we leave. My mother pulled me to sit down and asked the waiter to serve the dishes. Using the excuse of washing my hands, I left the private dining room, grabbed a bottle of mineral water and a glass, then returned. My mother kept putting food in my bowl. See, you've already accepted it. Eat more. I just drank water while looking down at my phone. My mom complained unhappily. You should eat. Stop playing with your phone. I took a couple bites of food. Mom, you eat too. I piled lots of food onto her plate. My mom gave an awkward smile at the dishes. I'm not hungry. These are all good dishes. You eat them. I put down my chopsticks and said, Mom, you've really changed. Before, you'd always grab the best dishes first and leave me the leftovers. You used to say women should be good to themselves first before being good to others. I've always remembered that. That's right, she replied. Society treats women unfairly in so many ways. If we don't treat ourselves well, who will? I nodded. I'll do the same from now on. My mother looked pleased. Good girl, listen to your mother more often. We stood in silence, my mother's gaze fixed on me filled with confusion. I lowered my head, tugging at my collar. Mom, I'm so hot. Did you forget to turn on the AC? Noticing my unusual behavior, my mother sighed in relief and came over to support me. You're right, it's off. Come on, let's go upstairs where it's cooler. I pushed her away abruptly. Something's wrong, Mom. Did you put something in the food? My mother's face darkened. Why are you being clever now? I don't want this either, but Charles said he wants a child. As long as I can give him a child, he'll change his mind. She came over and hugged me. Heidi, you're my only family now. You're all I have to rely on. You'll help me, won't you? Although I'd guessed what was going on. Hearing her say it still made my heart ache. Images flashed through my mind of my classmates being doted on by their parents, while my own mother was willing to drag me into hellfire just for a man. Did you drug me to make me bear Charles Gray's child? I shouted. I'm not even an adult yet. I won't turn 18 until next month. Are you even human? My mother covered my mouth. Keep your voice down, she hissed. Who would know if you don't tell? You'll be an adult by the time you give birth anyway. Charles is quite skilled. I've told him to be gentle with you, and with this medicine, you won't feel too uncomfortable. Be good. Once the child is born, Mom will give you a sum of money. You can name any amount, but let's be clear up front. You can't have your fun and then cling to Charles. He's mine. I rolled my eyes. Was I out of my mind to reject Andy James, that innocent rich boy, and cling to a scumbag instead? At this moment, the impatient Charles Gray walked in. What's taking so long? Hasn't she eaten yet? Oh, she already has. Then what's the holdup? Hand her over. My mom didn't hesitate to push me into his arms. Charles, you said if she bears your child, you won't go looking for Susan anymore. Charles Gray stroked my cheek and dismissed me perfunctorily. Yes, hurry along now. You're no longer needed here. My mother turned back every few steps, asking repeatedly, are you sure? You promised. You can't lie to me this time. You're truly my wonderful mother. I grabbed Charles Gray by the hair, pinned him to the dining table, and forcefully shoved drugged food into his mouth. Charles Gray never expected I'd still have strength left. Caught completely off guard by my ambush, he'd already swallowed several mouthfuls of food by the time he reacted and pushed me away. He wiped his mouth. What's going on? Didn't you take the medicine? Are you two playing me? My mother hastily waved her hands. Not me. I watched her take it. I picked up the bag from the chair and removed the miniature camera attached to it. I've recorded your entire drug lacing process and your motive for harming me. I only ate the portions you didn't tamper with. Both of you can wait for your prison sentences now. Charles Gray lunged at me to snatch my phone. You little bitch, you set me up. I dodged him as the drugs took effect. He collapsed to the floor, limp and weak. His cheeks flushed. You scumbag, you plotted against me first. Charles Gray shouted at my mother. Stop her. If she calls the police, you're the one who'll go to jail. My mother glared at me with fierce eyes, pulling a knife from her bag. You ungrateful wretch, you want to get me thrown in jail. Give me your phone. You brought a knife. Mom, this was prepared for you. If you didn't obey, I'd force you to eat it. Never thought it'd come in handy. Hand it over now, don't make me use it. I knew full well she wouldn't hesitate to hurt me. I obediently handed her the phone and walked straight toward the private room door. She held up her phone and ran to Charles Gray with triumphant glee. Charles, I snatched it. Charles Gray staggered to his feet, dropped the phone into the soup, and warned me hastily as I turned to leave. Heidi Smith, if you dare breathe a word of this outside, I won't let you off. I walked out of the private room without looking back. Just as police sirens began wailing outside, I'd already uploaded the video evidence to the official police website and filed a cyber report. Statutory rape is a serious crime, especially when the victim is this year's National College Entrance Exam top scorer. Talk about stacking the deck. These two idiots chose to make their move against me now. Utterly foolish. The police and school authorities will provide me with double protection. I don't have to fear retaliation from the Gray family. Especially with all the media firmly on my side, condemning the Grays. Charles Gray was arrested, and the very next day, Susan swiftly distanced herself from the Gray family. Gray Corporation stocks plummeted in a crash, with longtime clients rushing to terminate contracts and demand compensation. By the time school started, the uproar had died down, but the Gray empire was teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. Barely clinging to survival, my company's smooth sailing was established. Quickly gaining a foothold by leveraging the connections I'd built over the years and the sympathy points earned from handling cases, Mr. Gray secretly tried to trip me up several times, but I easily neutralized his attempts. During the first court hearing, I watched my mother in the defendant's seat looking several years older, disheveled, with noticeably more age spots and wrinkles on her face. When she saw me, she screamed, Heidi, Mom was wrong, please don't sue me. I don't want to go to prison, forgive me, I'm your birth mother. What kind of daughter sues her own mother? Her appearance reminded me of my past life in northern Myanmar, where I begged her just like this, knocking my head until it bled, screaming until my voice gave out. Yet she still refused to call the police. This time, the tables have turned, I was still merciful to her. At least she only went to prison instead of having her organs harvested and being buried alive. Facing the media and the judge, I feigned heartbroken anguish. No real mother would drug her own daughter and deliver her to her husband's bed. I'd rather not have such a real mother. Seeing that emotional appeals weren't working, Charles Gray and my mother flew into a rage and began hurling abuse at me. The more they carried on like this, the harsher their sentences would be. Inside prison, they'd also be despised by other inmates and suffer extra hardships. In the end, my mother was sentenced to 3 years. Charles Gray kept appealing, shifting all blame onto her, and got sentenced to 1 year. A year later, when he was released, Gray Corporation had dwindled from a renowned enterprise to a minor company, while my firm had risen from obscurity to become an industry leader. Now far beyond his reach, Charles Gray refused to accept defeat, obsessing daily about how to take revenge on me. Yet he couldn't even get close to me. Reduced to attending public events where I appeared just to hurl impotent curses at me like a pathetic fool. Heidi Smith, you little bitch, you used me to manipulate public opinion and gain sympathy, got me imprisoned while you started a company. It's so convenient for women to run businesses. Just sleep with enough men and any project falls into your lap. Tell me, how many have you fucked? I casually raised my hand and had my bodyguards drag him out for a beating. Not just my bodyguards, but James's bodyguards joined in the thrashing too. Charles Gray shouted, "Assault, I'm calling the police, arrest her." The bodyguard spat in his face. "Dream on, with our President Song's net worth, she could afford to kill you 10 times over." Mr. Gray arrived and dragged away Charles Gray. "You worthless disgrace, causing trouble the moment you step out. Right now, forget about her. Even her suitors could crush you like an ant to curry favor with her. Get your ass overseas immediately. If you weren't my only son, I wouldn't even bother saving you." Charles Gray, those little brats. He turned and pointed toward the banquet hall, where several intimidating young men with overwhelming presence were staring at him. Suddenly, he fell silent. Mr. Gray sent him abroad overnight, and I never saw Charles Gray again after that. The Gray family's situation seemed to worsen. I didn't lift a hand, nor do I know who did. All I know is that after I made it big, those male classmates who once confessed their feelings for me on the campus confession wall have all become leaders in their respective fields. Everyone knew about my 10-year plan, so no one dared to fawn over me openly. They just quietly maintained friendly relations. Occasionally at social gatherings, elders would still joke about it. "We've got to live long enough to see which lucky guy our song girl finally chooses." On my graduation day, my branch company went public. After the bell-ringing ceremony, I changed into my graduation gown and rushed to take photos with my professors when someone suddenly darted in front of my car. I slammed on the brakes just in time to avoid hitting her. I rolled down the window. "What's wrong with you? That was really dangerous. Are you trying to get yourself killed?" She came around to my side. "Heidi, it's me, I'm your mother." Her hair was completely silver, her aged appearance pronounced, with 2 distinct knife scars on her face. I wouldn't have recognized her if she hadn't spoken. "You're out of prison." "Yes, I'm out. Never imagined you'd be so wealthy now." Gray told me, but I didn't believe it. "This is fantastic. Heaven hasn't abandoned me. My days of suffering are over. This car must be expensive, right? Open the door quickly. Let me get in." I didn't unlock it, staring at her coldly. "Have you forgotten how you ended up inside? How dare you come looking for me? Get lost. We have nothing to do with each other." I stepped on the gas and sped away. The graduation ceremony hadn't even ended when my secretary called. "President Song, there's a woman lying downstairs refusing to leave. She says she's your mother and demands to see you. Now she stands alone in this world. There's nothing left I can use against her. Even if I were willing to reopen old wounds, it wouldn't affect her much, but I must protect the company's reputation." I instructed my secretary, "Find someone for me." When I returned to the company, quite a crowd had already gathered to watch the spectacle. Some still remembered the old case, whispering, "Is this really President Song's birth mother? The one who drugged her and tried to deliver her to her stepfather's bed, then got sent to prison? How old is President Song really? Why does she look so old? Serves her right for being wicked." My mother put on an act, beating her chest in exaggerated remorse. "I was wrong. I've repented. All I want now is to make it up to my daughter." I walked up to her. "Come with me upstairs." My mother quickly scrambled to her feet. "My precious daughter, have you forgiven Mommy? You're truly Mommy's good girl." I didn't say a word as I led her to the office. My mother looked around curiously. "So impressive, even more impressive than Charles Gray's office. Heidi, how much are you worth now?" propping my chin with one hand, I asked, "Do you still want to rekindle a domineering CEO falls in love with the newly released You scenario with Charles Gray?" My mother lowered her head. "Charles is dead." This was truly divine justice at last. I asked, "How did he die?" My mother said, "Gray lady mentioned he contracted HIV not long after going abroad and didn't last 2 years. The most satisfying part is that when he first got infected, he didn't even know it himself. Susan went to see him afterward and reportedly got infected too. Now no one even knows where she's died. This is truly a fitting death for them." My mother came around and took my hand. "Heidi, the sinners who bullied you have received their due punishment. Are you happy now? Can we mother and daughter go back to how we were before?" I replied with a half-smile. "They weren't the sinners who bullied me, you were." My mother froze, the hot tears in her eyes continuing to flow just the same. It seems her acting skills have improved even more during those 3 years inside. You don't want to support me, running such a big company, sitting in this luxurious office, and you just watch your own mother beg on the streets." Her eyes glared, the scar on her face twisting menacingly, radiating the threat that she'd wreck my company if I refused to take care of her. I curled my lips. How could I? What kind of daughter would hold grudges against her own mother? She breathed a sigh of relief. "Exactly. Blood is thicker than water." The intercom rang, and the secretary announced, "President Song, young Master James is here." Andy James took over the family's subsidiary company in his second year of college and has now become the renowned young Master James. "Please show him in." I hung up the phone and looked at my mother. "Go to the lounge inside. There are my home clothes in the cabinet. You can take a shower, change, and take a nap. I have an important client." My mother was very obedient. Okay, you go ahead." Andy James walked in and saw my mother's back as she entered the lounge. I made a shushing gesture at him and pulled him toward the window. I knew my mother would definitely eavesdrop. I pretended to straighten his tie, leaning in to whisper, "Did you come because of her?" Andy James nodded. "The person you're looking for is with me." I froze. "You know who I'm looking for, Andy James, your biological father Leo. How did he end up with you?" I knew Mary was looking for someone right before her release. "If she bothers you, I wanted to give you solid advice before those flies could swarm in." Seems our thoughts aligned perfectly. Andy James bent down to meet my eye level. His face had grown more angular since high school, his gaze sharper with businessman's acumen, yet still carrying that youthful spirit. "President Song, did I just score major points this time?" There's a slight flutter in my heart, but it pales in comparison to the exhilaration of achieving professional success. I released his tie and resumed my normal tone. "James, I'm conceding the land parcel you wanted. Must you calculate everything so precisely?" Andy James sounded somewhat disappointed as he adjusted his tie. "It's rare for you to help straighten my tie voluntarily. By that measure, I'm still coming out ahead." I shot him a glare. "James, does the CEO know you're such a romance-obsessed fool?" "Andy James, he's known since childhood, because he was 2. James's past with his wife is unknown to me, but after James' wife passed away, countless women threw themselves at him, yet James never gave any of them a chance, remaining single to this day. Proof of his profound devotion. Andy James, with such exemplary leadership, doesn't that earn extra points?" I shot him a sidelong glance, pretending not to understand. "Are you showing off to me? My whole family is a complete mess. Scumbags, idiots, trashy men. The absolute worst of humanity all gathered together." Andy James quickly waved his hands. "Absolutely not." My mom walked out of the lounge holding my loungewear. "Heidi, there are several sets of loungewear here. Which one? Oh my, isn't this your high school classmate James's son? Are you two still friends now?" I said, "Heidi has been so successful. It must be because you and James have been helping her. Since it's almost dinner time, why don't you invite James over to my place? I'll cook a couple of my signature dishes to properly thank you and your father on behalf of Heidi." Andy James exchanged a glance with me, and I said coldly, "Don't bother making arrangements. James is busy. He already has plans tonight." My mom stepped forward, grabbing Andy James's arm. "What do you mean, don't bother? Don't you know how to show gratitude? Restaurant food can't compare to home-cooked meals. At least let me express my appreciation, young James. Just let me know whenever James is free." I pulled my mom's hand away and signaled Andy James to leave first. "We haven't even caught up as a family yet. Why are you in such a hurry to invite them, Andy James? I've got things to do. I'll take my leave now. Goodbye, Auntie." My mother's face darkened as she prepared to scold me. I pressed the intercom and instructed my secretary, order a set of signature dishes from TH restaurant delivered to my place. Mother brightened up again. I've heard of that place. Only wealthy people can afford to eat there, right? Tonight we'll have a proper heart-to-heart. After work, I drove my mother home. The meal had already been plated by the housekeeper, whom I'd given an extended leave. My mother went straight to my walk-in closet as soon as we entered, chose my most expensive evening gown to wear, and took plenty of jewelry. She vigorously covered the scars on her face with my makeup. After getting ready, she sat at the dining table. Heidi, do I look good, dear? Still got my charm, haven't I? I chewed my food. Yes. My mother smoothed her hair. That James has been widowed for years without anyone to care for him. If you help me out, when I become James's wife someday, I'll pull you up too. I smiled. James isn't good enough. I've already found you the perfect male lead for this. Tycoon falls for the ex-con drama. He'll be here soon, Mom exclaimed excitedly. Really? Who is he? What's his net worth? You'll see when he arrives. Don't worry, he definitely won't disappoint. But let me warn you up front, keep the noise down. This may be a detached villa, but we still have neighbors. My mother waved her hand shamelessly. Who can predict what happens when dry wood meets fire? It's been years since I've had a man, and if he hasn't had a woman either, we'd be even wilder than you youngsters. I nodded and kept picking at the food I liked. No point letting it go to waste, too excited to eat. My mother took just a couple of bites before rushing off to touch up her makeup and take a shower. Just as she was meticulously grooming herself, the doorbell rang. I went to answer it. It's been nearly 20 years since I last saw this man, yet his image still lingers in my mind. He's aged and grown thin, dressed in security guard clothes, bald with sunken cheeks. According to Andy James, he's quit gambling and drinking now. 2 years ago he was diagnosed with late-stage liver cancer. The pain having beaten all temper out of him, whoever pays his medical bills gets his unquestioning service. Leo looked at me without a father's excitement upon seeing his daughter again, but with the same scrutinizing gaze reserved for eyesores that he'd had since my childhood. Never thought you, the money-losing burden, could become CEO of a big company. The ancestral graves of our family must be emitting blue smoke indeed. When I came here, both James Sr. and little James warned me. Tell me. Which one's mistress are you? I didn't explain. If someone could intimidate him, it would work to my advantage too. That's none of your business. All you need to know is I'll pay for your medical treatment to make your final days more comfortable. In return, you take care of my mother. That's all. Leo, how exactly do you want me to take care of her? Take care of her the same way you did before. Tomorrow I'll take you both to get remarried, so our family can finally be reunited. Leo gave a contemptuous smile, strode into the villa, saw food on the table, picked up a bowl and started eating. My mother walked out gracefully. Heidi, your guest has arrived, hasn't they? Introduce me. It's you? I stood by laughing. Surprise, Mom, I found Dad. My mother pointed at me and scolded. I finally managed to divorce that scumbag and escape his clutches. Why did you bring him back? Do you want to make my life miserable? A man is best when he's your original match. You keep pining for James, but James would never like you anyway. You'd better give up sooner. Leo heard this and snapped. She's still hung up on James, that damn woman. Still can't kick her habit of seducing people. He rushed toward my mother, grabbing a vase and hurling it at her. My mother dodged quickly but tripped over her high heels and couldn't get far. Leo grabbed her hair and started slapping her. My mother bit him, scratched him, and fought back with all her might. You bastard. Do you think I'll just take your beatings now? I'd already had the maid put away the valuables in the villa beforehand. Let them smash whatever's left. I had already arranged for the neighbors to dine at TH restaurant in advance, explaining to them that our home was undergoing renovations recently and apologizing for any disturbances. They all expressed their understanding. I put on my headphones and sat on the balcony to enjoy the breeze, blocking out the chaotic noise from the living room. This battle ultimately ended with my mother kneeling on the ground in surrender, making their remarriage proceed exceptionally smoothly. I bought them a house in the suburbs, quiet and secluded, so they wouldn't disturb the neighbors, arranged for doctors to regularly check Leo's condition, arranged grocery deliveries for them, and beyond that, I want nothing to do with it. I only told Leo one thing. If my mother runs away or causes trouble that reaches me, I'll cut off your medication. Leo directly installed a lock and confined my mother to her room. My mom yelled and scolded every day. Leo remained unmoved, and when her nagging annoyed him, he'd resort to violence. Eventually, my mom stopped yelling. Leo replaced her restraints with handcuffs and shackles, letting her out only to clean the room and sweep the yard. Their life in this Burmese-style hell continued like this until Leo died of illness. My mom thought she'd finally survived the ordeal. But little did she know I'd deliver her, still in handcuffs and shackles, straight to a mental asylum. "I'm not mentally ill, let me out, Heidi Smith, daughter, you know I'm not sick, I won't cause trouble anymore, just give me some money, I'll go far away and promise not to bother you." I spoke to her through the iron gate. "Mom, no can do. The doctor said your obsessive love disorder is a serious mental illness that requires proper treatment, you can't be released to harm others. Just rest and recover here peacefully, I'll visit when I have time." As I turned to leave, she cried out again, "Heidi Smith, how can you be so cruel? I'm your mother, the woman who carried you for 10 months, how could you treat me like this?" I turned back, looking at her haggard, aged face, remembering those unbearable 10 years from my past life. "Mary, remember when you asked me why I didn't stop you back then? I did try to stop you, in our previous life. I stopped you when you were about to make the antidote for Charles Gray, but then Susan made the antidote for Charles Gray, and Charles Gray married her. When you failed to realize your dream of marrying into wealth, you sold me to northern Myanmar, where I suffered terribly, no matter how much I begged. You refused to save me. After enduring 10 years of torment, I was finally sold for my organs and buried alive. Compared to what you did to me, I've been merciful to you. Just follow the doctor's orders, and they'll treat you well, but if you disobey and try to escape, go ahead and try. I've only heard rumors about their methods, said to be similar to those in northern Myanmar." My mother looked at me with feigned innocence. "What nonsense are you talking about? Rebirth, even if you were reborn. I never sold you to northern Myanmar in this lifetime, did I? Can't you just let me go?" I stared into her eyes and demanded, "Then who was it that beat and cursed me, who abandoned me when you had your own child, then drugged me when you lost yours, forcing me to bear Charles Gray's child? If I hadn't noticed in time and actually taken that drug, if I'd begged you, would you have spared me then?" My mother answered without hesitation, "Of course I'd let you go, you're my own flesh and blood." I slowly stepped back, unwilling to even look at her hypocritical face. "Then think carefully about what you actually did back then." Behind me, her voice kept calling my name, so I put my headphones back on. Out of hearing, out of mind, now I could focus on building my career again. I'm meticulous yet bold, daring to be the first to ride the wind of opportunity, firstly because my youth means I can afford to lose, and secondly because I possess the ability to rise to challenges. Within just 4 years, my ventures spanned across various industries, amassing assets twice that of the James family, making me the youngest female tycoon in City J. Elders who used to call me little girl now greet me as the relentless warrior. Whenever I set my sights on a project, they all swarm in, clamoring for a share of the spoils. I'm well aware that I wouldn't be where I am today without everyone's support, so I never keep all the benefits to myself. Money can never be fully earned, but paths can be cut off. Earning slightly less means keeping more roads open. Why wouldn't I choose that? Soon, the 10-year plan came to fruition, and just as I'd envisioned, I achieved success, and the person standing before me was still Andy James. Over these 10 years, he kept improving himself, afraid that if the gap between us grew too wide, I'd look down on him, all while dealing with those competitors. I'm called the desperate spinster. He's called the desperate matchmaker. Setting up his love rivals with other matches. Later, his reputation spread far and wide, and many people who didn't like me started pursuing me deliberately, just to catch his attention and secure a good match. James often teased, "Do us all a favor and take my son off the market already," having him meet so many single girls just to introduce them to his love rivals, while staying completely unattached himself. It's too much to ask. Now he sports a sleek backswept hairstyle, exuding mature steadiness with undiminished handsomeness, yet carrying an added touch of aristocratic elegance that makes him even more pleasing to behold. Holding out flowers to me, he said, "President Song, may I have the honor of being your boyfriend?" Taking the bouquet, I looked at him and replied, "Did you think my options were limited to domestic candidates? The company is expanding overseas branches. I need to evaluate foreign handsome men before making my decision." Andy James exclaimed in dismay, "Heidi, foreign men marry young, even the single ones must have issues, likely being, rather than wasting time, why not appreciate the premium handsome man right before your eyes? I'm not choosing a marriage partner here, just boyfriends. It's fine to date several, savoring the flavors of romance. Keeping some young college students wouldn't be bad either. After all, I can afford it." Andy James choked, "You didn't want me when I was young. And now that I'm old, you're looking for younger ones. What about me then? I took his hand. Just keep performing well. If you do, I won't mind you being older. Andy James paused, then gripped my hand tighter. You're saying yes, I've already accepted your flowers, don't you understand? Have I ever taken flowers from you before? Andy James laughed, picked me up and spun me around twice. This is wonderful. My dream has finally come true. Listen, girlfriend. From now until you agree to marry me, I won't give you any chance to break up with me. I want to treat you well for the rest of my life. Holding his neck, I asked, what if I never agree to get married? Will you still treat me well? Andy James understood my resistance to marriage and said considerately, if we never break up, I can also be your boyfriend for life. I nodded, then maybe we should just get married. After all, I can always divorce if I'm not satisfied. Andy James looked displeased. Heidi Smith, are you trying to be a heartbreaker? What's wrong with that? Fine, I'm lovesick anyway. Even if you break hearts, I'll cling to you for life. 2 more years passed, and my mother was nearing her end, asking me to see her one last time. Andy James accompanied me. My mother, noticing how Andy James constantly seemed worried about me, asked in confusion, what trick did you use to make a man remain utterly devoted to you for over a decade? Nothing much. He just knows I have plenty of options and can live well without him, so he has to work twice as hard to secure his place. My mother was astonished. It can be done that way. I smiled and said, got it now, be smarter in your next life. My mother choked on her anger and died. Her ridiculous and tragic life had come to an end, while my beautiful and brilliant one still had a long way to go. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.